Another banger, baby, calm down, calm down. Yo, this your boy.
The United States has urged donors to continue to have been in contact with famine. Source: Dutch, Japani joinus limit to the Chech Chich Limit to Chinese. Erdogan may approve the Finnish application for NATO, shock. Mogadishu was a member of the U.S. cabinet for the first time in visit to Somalia since 2015, and urged the international donors to help the country with the deadly famine. The latest failure of the international community. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, has heard how much the worst revelation of the problem surely will pass the famine to formal Luga, declared the country. 2011, when more than 1 million people have died. This time, the world looks at other places. Many humanitarian officials have. Many cultural donors washed their hands and focused on Ukraine. The coordinator of the United Nations resident in Somalia, Adam Abdelmullah, told Thomas Greenfield as briefly presented in Mogadishu. As the U.S. ambassador refused to describe the name and shame to call the donors for extra help, the coordinals of the United Nations has not known. The European Union, for example, only provided 10% of the humanitarian plan in Somalia last year, Abdelmullah told Associated Press. The EU paid $74 million and the UK $78 million, according to the United Nations data. Japan gave $27 million, Saudi Arabia $22 million. Meanwhile, the United States provided around 80%, paid $1.3 billion in Somalia since the beginning of the accounting year 2022. The ambassador announced on Sunday, $40 million. But the United States cannot continue to pay the fee, even if there are no Ukraine, Thomas Greenfield told to see the countries near the Gulf region, for example, to donate them. More. It defined the fatal threat to the next few weeks if the other nations do not cost. According to QM, without donations from other donors, food aid and key nutrition supports 4.6 million people in Somalia will run in April, Thomas Greenfield said. That will be like the 6th rainy rainfall in the country expected to call. The United States was very shocked by the bad situation, she told humanitarian officials. The ambassador has made its speeches on the Sequitance Center at the International Airport in Mogadishu, where government officials have tried to respond to the increasing threat to many parts of Somalia. Al-Qaeda-based Al-Qaeda organization in East Africa. Washington, AP, Japan and the Netherlands have approved an agreement with U.S. to control the access to China to use a prominent computer, a prominent computer report told the Associated Press report. The person refused to know because the deal is not officially announced. It is not clear when the three sides will present the agreement. White House has refused to comment. Biden administration in October produces export controls to limit Chinese capacity to reach the high rate, which it can be used for human rights and speed improvements. She urged all allies as Japan and the Netherlands to follow the occasion. China was sensitive, saying that the business reduction will disrupt the chains and recovery of world economy. We hope that the countries concerned will do what they are right and work together to strengthen the multiculturalism system in China, the spokesman for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This will also serve to protect the long-term interests. The Speaker of the National Security Council John Kirby said Friday that the Netherlands and Japan officials were at Washington, led by the President Joe Biden. Issues. The president of Istanbul, Turkish, has suggested that his country is approved by the Finnish membership and NATO members before taking action against European protests, due to the Islamic demonstration. Travel Alerts, published on the late Saturday, is pursuing demonstrations last week outside the Turkish embassy in Sweden. Sweden and Finland are jointly written to become members of the military coalition, throwing their military genealogy in Russia war in Ukraine. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has shown that Turkey could join in Finland. If needed, we can provide another message about Finland. Sweden will be surprised by giving other information about Finland. Turkey accused the Stockholm government to be happy in groups, thinks it is a terrorist organization or threats, including Kurds. NATO requires the approval of members to the new ones, but the government of Erdogan has only agreed to admit Sweden if the country completes his situation.